What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 59 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Thorgrim Grudgebearer Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, with the conquest of the North Grey Mountains from Arguelon, we have completely restored the Underway network. Certainly we can't have the campaign ended without the Underway network restored, and that also completed the third part, the last part remaining of Retake the Realms. So those legendary grudges are out. We are very much closing in on destroying the Drakenhof Conclave and are working on the Court of Libaras. We've also now finished up destroying Rakarth and have got a pretty clean looking portion of the map here with just a couple of more territories around THORGRIM'S to give to Tobara, which we have established as a pretty powerful faction down here. And I mean, look what we did. All of these southern realmers are looking like they're going to start moving towards the Maelstrom, and I guess going after the ogres or whoever we're at war with there, which is good. Something for them to fight. We've been establishing sort of enemies for the remaining sort of order factions we have on the remaining on the map, and I like that. Keep them fighting the demons and such, and we can chill in the mountains as we do. Anyway, I believe it's a new turn, so we may as well start moving everywhere where we can. Grimly, Coral Seeker, and Elmador Red Axe. There's a few rebels here. Steps of Corn are occupied. I guess Elmador. You can quickly take out Skulltake. Oh, yes. Alright, I did end the turn between the episodes, and Skulltaker unfortunately had a weak and pathetic army, not even half a stack, and he got auto-resolved by Grimly, but at least we got the free defeat trait. You can't reach Steps of Corn, unfortunately, Grimly. He did get hurt by the auto-resolve, but the auto-resolve has a tendency to hurt his army. Kill Erdulf of the Beast Flayers, if you would. And just to help out our Cathan friends here. And we're going to help them a little bit more by taking this this Cornate location so that they have the full province, and then we can help them guard it. I guess we're at the very least decorruptify it, because they're really having a difficult time with the public order in general, but also specifically with the corruption. Alright, looks good. Malachi, in the meantime, are you still damaged from the auto-resolve? Not really. Oh, Tamarkan's back, but not for long. I'm going to take out the Twisted Pillars, and then we'll move on down to the Blood Rift and take that as well. This is obviously auto-resolvable, and we'll take him out. And why would it hurt Led Zeppelin? Poor Led Zeppelin. They've suffered enough. Occupy. Alrighty, there we go. And unit mass for Malachi, not super useful, I'll admit, but would have been useful to others. Anyway, Twisted Pillars, we will be trading you and all the plains of Zinbaijin, but let's fortify them up a little bit before we trade them. And Zinbaijin and the Kadatha Plateau in general will be giving to Boris. We're giving a lot more territory up here to Boris than to the western provinces, because they just seem, honestly, kind of incapable of holding it. The faction just plain isn't doing well enough to be capable of this sort of thing, while Boris did great. He did great by himself before we gave him his territory. One of the very few factions that did. Really him and... Venerate the Ancestors, I guess. Anyway, really it's Boris and whatever this faction's name was. I don't remember what these guys are called. The Guardians of the Valley. They're basically the only ones that did really well on their own that were friendly factions of ours. There were a bunch of enemies that did well, but everybody else needed our help. Anyway, let's keep doing what we're doing here. You guys... Oh, did they sack this? Is this all that remains of them? Well, I'm gonna hope that the elves here can deal with them, because our armies have moved north, and they're going to probably continue moving north. Hegenbor. I did kind of want to send you to Beast Peaks, and I think that's still the case. Oh, we should have you take Conquata as well, because Bugman's still kind of hurt, and maybe... Yeah, fine, it's a tier 5. Let's take Conquata first. Conquata, as it were. Huh. Yeah, now the public order's too high. I was wondering whether we could just repeatedly sack it and bring the last defenders back, but frankly, it'll take too many turns, and I'm not going to bother with it, Occupy. It would be nice for them to return, but... I'm not going to bother with taking the time. Perhaps it was fate that they had been destroyed. And we can go for the Venerate the Ancestors. Plus, these jungles are things that that the Imperials here can occupy. Yeah, venerate the ancestors. There's a little bit of corruption, not that much, but probably still worth dealing with. You and Tyro, you wouldn't be able to reach the Bleakmoor, so we could in theory push you up to Lost Ericsson's Landing, but you're still so damaged that maybe we should just sit you there for a bit. Yeah, alright, follower Skolson, I would however like you to move here just in case, so that the two of you can maybe move together should we need to save some time. You guys are all coming down here. Oh, you can help with this. Thingrim, etc., etc. I assume that you can land here somewhere. Oh, Lost Ericsson's Landing, go figure. Oh wow, you really can't travel very far compared to the others. And you're gonna suffer attrition in doing so, eh? You know what? Go here. At least this way you won't suffer as much attrition, and you're gonna do the same thing, roughly. Thingrim, I guess you can go over here, though. Although, watch these guys move through this. Like, if there's another army, they could just kill him. You know what? Maybe move here. And just to keep it a little bit safer. And then Thugni of Zorn and Ungrim, I guess you're gonna do the same thing. I'd like you to sail out and move out, because you're not needed up here anymore. Like so, like so. You're probably gonna get in an Ungrim's way, but that's alright. Actually, Ungrim's gonna get in your way, but that's not a big deal. Alright, you guys are good. Reclaimer, get gold. You can just stay here. Same with Reclaimer, Silverhorn, until we're ready to trade these territories. Let's finish up here. You grab Bjornling's Gathering. Like so. And occupy. Alrighty, and then we'll build these up a teensy bit. And how's Serpent Jetty looking? Oh man, I was hoping it would be a high-tier settlement. Unfortunately not, though. So I guess Oshiotla is just going to have to do his best to hold it, as best he can. Alrighty, and then we'll venerate the ancestors here. Oh, I guess we could have empowered the guilds as well, but anyway, Reclaimer Stronghold, you can sit in Serpent Jetty for now, and frankly, all of you can sort of sit around here until we're ready to transfer all of this. Alright, fine. Just move rather than underway stance. There we go. This is all going to Oshiotla. I'm hoping that he can defend the coastline. We'll probably park a few armies here just in case. So the enemy can't come down, but our allies can still go up there. In a nice little endless war. Alrighty, the rest of you guys here are good. You can maintain your current position. Maybe even go around like this. And just keep you safe in that manner. Alright, you guys are going to Athaluren, and I think you've already moved. It looks good to me. I believe Finn Arcandraskelson has also moved. We also have, well, armies moving into Athaluren, but we'll deal with that in a bit. Anybody else need to move around here? Okay, you guys are, you know what, stay in Torcarindus for now. Corindus, because it's part of our legendary grudge. And we're nearly there. What about up here? Alright, so we'll move you northward to Tamak's camp. Like, nobody can reach it, right? Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. Alright, you go up here. Nobody up there anyway. You, Gromby, you can go, I don't know, somewhere around here. And we're closing in on the Tower of Torment, the last territory belonging to Archaon, or, well, technically the starting territory, I guess, belonging to Archaon. You, take the Rookery. And Alaric Ranulfson maybe actually move to reinforce, because this guy's kind of damaged, and we're never letting him heal up, apparently. I'm pretty sure Thorgrim the Thronger can take Claw Reach, which doesn't even have defenders. You, are you able to jump here? No, but we've decorruptified the place, so in theory we shouldn't... Oh, we'll still suffer attrition. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Alright, well, just go as far as you can then, which I'm pretty sure is not far enough. Oh, that is just far enough. Never mind. Beautiful. And this way you both preserve a few of your points. And soon these guys can stop moving as well, and the Reclaimer can be named some kind of guard. You can venerate the ancestors to decorruptify as best you can. And there we go. Alrighty, Tamarkhan has one settlement remaining, Archaon, and his little vassal have, what, 7 or 8 between them? Couple more turns and they'll be out as well, and then up there we won't have to move. Couple more turns here and we won't have to move anymore. What do we have going on here? Joseph of Zorn, still a little bit damaged. I think I'd like to give him the opportunity to heal for a turn. So that's alright. What about you guys? So Reclaimer, Grimson, will push you down to... I mean, I guess the only place you can reach is Shanadar, so to Shanadar you shall go. You shan go. Still gotta destroy the poor court of Libaras. Unfortunate to have to kill off Khalida like this, but, well, she shouldn't have been in the grudges, I guess. Alrighty, then, Stachel Gunriksson, you can take the 6 watch forts, and I guess we'll just push on towards the House of Everlasting Life. I'm not sure where their other armies are, but I guess that's just what we're doing. Occupy this. It's a lot of damage. Well, it'll be concerning if they push on towards us with... Ooh, I know what we could do. Okay, you build this gate, it doesn't really matter. Summon a... Vengeful, rear guard. Do we have any good guild masters? What about rune lords? I just want to see something. We got rune master, weapon strength, and master rune of breaking. Not a particularly great trait. Spell resistance isn't bad, but isn't anything crazy either. I can summon this guy. He's unyielding. His rank 36. Muster the Throng. He leached enough XP to become a I don't know, a reclaimer. I don't know. Must roar. Because he was Muster the Throng. And I did reset you so you have skill points, right? Yeah, beautiful. Alrighty, so you can get yourself 4 hammerers. You can see that we have now a ton of global recruitment availability because we have the, I believe it was the Shrines of Smednir that did it, unless I'm mistaken. So you're just here to auto-resolve. It'll just build you some fancy stuff. Like so, and... Oh wow, we can recruit Thunderbudges 1 turn and give that for Siege Attacker. Just the 1, and then we'll get you a couple of artillery pieces. I'm gonna say just do a couple of organ guns. And we have 1 more point remaining, eh? Yeah, do a 3rd organ gun. Or maybe a cannon so that you have a range. Yeah, good enough. It doesn't really matter, it's just for reclaiming purposes anyway. Reclaimer Granite Hand, you can push on towards House of Everlasting. There are armies out here, but they don't look like all that much. You know what, in fact, what we should probably do, you besiege this, and then... Okay, well, we'll just auto-resolve it, but I'm figuring that we could probably upgrade some of these Dwarf Warriors into Longbeards, etc. And just so that you can be a little bit stronger on the attack than you have been. Oh, or in fact, we could upgrade you guys to Dwarf Warriors, and then some of these guys to, like, artillery and stuff. Let's do, I don't know, 3 Grudge Throwers, 2 Bolt Throwers, and then when they get higher levels, we can get, you know, more use out of them. You guys can all be upgraded to, I don't know, let's do 4 Dwarf Warriors into 4 Longbeards. And I guess we'll keep the miners for now. It doesn't really matter. Alrighty, and then uncollect the income here. Oh, what I really want to just see is this. Are we able to trade you House of Everlasting Life? No. We cannot. We can we trade you... Okay, we can trade you SF's key, but apparently this little border here doesn't count. It's only road border. Well, that's a little bit unfortunate. Not a big deal. We're planning to give these guys the desert anyway, because we have obviously no intention of dealing with it ourselves. Looks like these guys have decided not to attack Dwinbar Ranulfson. Cowardly, tremendously cowardly. We'll besiege Amber's Skull, and I'm willing to bet that they'll attack us next turn anyway. Not that they have a choice in the matter. That's a lot of Ushapti with Great Bow, though. That should be at least of some middling concern to Dwinbar. Alrighty, and the rest of you, I believe, are good. We can now move on to you, Reclaimer Barak. You can move on down here to Beremas. Probably upgrade some of these guys. We'll do that before the next attack, and we should have a few guys down here as well. Groth Barak. Oh, you can reach Obelisk of Judgment, eh? Ain't no way that you can reach... No. You know what? Maybe we'll send Belagar this way. Obelisk of Judgment is a minor settlement, but I'm willing to bet we can push them into a field battle against Belagar. How many points do you have, Belagar? 11. Alright, so it's been a little bit of a while since you fought your last fight. You have everything you need, right? So this is Aklor. Technically, you're Grimnir's heirs, but I don't think we're going to spend 3 points on you. Bugmans and then Bolt Throwers, so that's Thunderer and Tactician, both of which you have. Let's just get honored by Grimnir for that 1 unit of Iron Breakers. They deserve it. They've been with us for a while. Definitely Rune of Grimnir for Belagard. Scarred Vet, Foe Seeker, and oh wow, Belagar is point hungry. We won't have enough to get him everything. Well, get him more Blade Shield because it amuses me how ridiculously tanky he is, and I guess we're going to have to forego Woundmaker and Ancestral Grudge, so he doesn't actually hit that hard compared to other Dwarf Lords. Oh well. Definitely unfaltering. At least he'll have a heck of a charge bonus from his 2 Thanes. Devastating charge and discard vet. That maxes out your melee capabilities. I don't really care about Dowie Authority, but might as well. And get better spread control, why not? Alright, and there's nothing else to get, so just get Specialist. Alright, what about the next guy? Thane, another Thane, always the Thanes. I guess we're just getting everything, since as we just saw, we have plenty of points to apply. Like so, and spread control, and then we have the 1 extra point in Specialist. Exactly the same. Alright, you, NG, you guys are Bolt Thrower Masters, and, okay, you have Bolt Thrower Mastery, let's get your hand loaded, Relentless, and Resolute, and Overseer. I guess since you're not on the Gyrocopter, we can actually give you, in theory, Barrackvar Handshake. Yeah, I'm still not getting Bare Essentials. It just seems like a waste. And I have 8 points and nowhere to spend them, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Alright, fine, just go for a Specialist. I don't see us needing to block an army, but you never know, so might as well put a couple points in it. Just in case. And lastly, the Runesmith. We'll go for... Well, usually we go for Scarred Vet, but maybe considering you're a ghosty, the full plate armor might actually give you a little bit more here. Scarred Vet would also be useful, though. Let's get your Rune of Spellbreaking, Rune of Fate, and Old-Fashioned Tinkering. We'll ignore the Rune of Valea for now, but we want to be able to overcast the other runes, and... You know, maybe we should still get your Scarred Vet, even at the cost of a few other things. Let's do that. Scarred Vet. And we have 3 points remaining, meaning we could max out Rune of Oath and Steel, and if we skip Resolute, even Rune of Negation and Rune of Breaking. Huh, you seem to have a few more points, I guess because we don't have to go through an actual line to get We Are the Elite? At least I assume that's why. Good for you. Anyway, let's see if we can draw Mannfred out into one last confrontation, as this should destroy his faction. Well, technically, the other attacks will also... He's done. Alrighty, and oh wow. Oh, no way. He actually built the, what was it, Drakenhof, something? Drakenhof Guard, Grave Guard? Huh, legendary unit. I mean, I guess we have the Everguard for our own legendary unit, and that's a lot of Black Knights. This actually should be a pretty interesting battle, and a unit of Blood Knights as well, considering they should very much be capable of overrunning us. Huh. Alright, I'm into it. I'm very into it. Go. Alrighty, here we go. I really wasn't expecting a round 3 with Mannfred. Frankly, I wasn't even expecting a round 2, but all good. All good. And this time, unlike the other times against Mannfred, I feel a little bad about it, that we didn't really get the chance to personally knock him down as much. And we're going to give him a little bit of a chance here. How are we going to do that? We're going to advance rather than sit back and snipe as many of the enemy as possible. So we're going to close the distance with our miners and our Bugman's Rangers and all of our units, and allow the enemy reinforcements to close a lot quicker with our army than the other ones might. Than they otherwise might have, I suppose. But first we destroy this little army outside the enemy. As in the non-reinforcing armies. Which will fall pretty darn quickly. The enemy lord is already out, and we've got a few skeletons and doggos riding around. Mannfred is starting to move on in. And going to get ready to close the distance with us, while his reinforcements and all of those hundreds, if not thousands, of Black Knights move on in. And there we go, this is what I wanted. Before we knocked out Mannfred with various flying units and torpedoes and whatnot, this time he's had the chance to land. Is it going to pay dividends for him? I'm not so sure. He'll activate his regenerating flesh ability. I guess he has that, I think there's an item, but anyway. But he does still get brought down rather quickly, especially once he gets hit by Belegar and both Thanes at once. That said, he did distract us, allowing, I mean, look at all those Black Knights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's concerning. And that's 12 Knights and then 4 Flyers, including some Vargeists in there. Let's see whether our miners can handle this, can hold the line. Frankly, they probably can't, and our Bugman's Rangers will have to work in melee, but that's exactly what I wanted. And give everybody here a nice fight rather than kill everybody off at range. And it looks like the Vargeist and the Bats will land. We're going to try to debuff them by lowering their melee defense with a nice flash bomb, and minus 25 melee defense leaves them with basically none. Bugman's Rangers are very decent melee combatants, 80 melee attack, 103 melee defense when buffed up by the Mighty Oathstone and the Master Rune of Speed. So they have defense, they have offense. And now they'll tear them, well, maybe not now, but over time they should tear them to shreds. The extra enemy units of Knights are, however, moving around our flanks and smashing into additional units of Bugman's Rangers. We've got 3 still firing, and 1 of our units of miners has at this point been overrun. I mean, again, they're miners, they're tier 1 units, and I know that we've been using them a lot through this campaign, but yeah, and they're still super basic troops. Though I do once again love that SFO makes every single troop type viable, because it gives you more reason to employ lots of tier 1 and tier 2 troops. Alrighty, and man, the Black Knights have certainly distracted the rest of our army, allowing all of those enemy Graveguard, including the, here they are, Drakenhof Guard, legendary Graveguard unit with those halberds and shields. They're looking pretty good, you gotta admit. Allowing them all to close the distance. Fortunately, though, we got our Ghost Pals, holding them back, and they don't have magical damage on them. And of course, we have the 3rd Ghost Pal, which was summoned by our Horn of the Ancestors. It does look like a few of the enemy knights are trying to get around us still, but our artillery, left unprotected, mind you, are back here, and they just basically try to snipe any unit of cav that tries to move or looks like they're moving in their direction. Anyway, the knights have by and large been knocked out, and it's time for a little bit of infantry action. Especially with our remaining miners, and with the Bugmans that are still very much tied up in melee. But hey, the Bugmans rarely get the chance to fight in melee as well, so this is also a pretty nice thing to see for them. Give them a bit of a nice trial run in that regard. Huh, the map just got lighter. Maybe it might also be the position on the map, or it might be a cloud was obscuring the moon, or whatever lighting source is provided by the skybox, but anyway. And just gotta hold the ground. Tactically, not much to say about this battle anymore. We just have to wear down those enemy infantry, and slowly but surely, that is happening. Man, that's a lot of halberds surrounding our 3 ghost thanes here. It is nice to see them holding the enemy off. And also always amusing to see the dwarfs employing ghosts against the undead. The irony perhaps wouldn't be lost on Mannfred if, he wasn't... lying dead somewhere. Double dead, I guess. Anyway, we've also summoned the Ancestral Shield Bearers. That's even more ghosties to face off against them. Ooh, and our own ghost, the ghostly light of the Ancestral Shield Bearers, their ethereal glow matches that of the balefire in the eyes of the zombies. But you probably wouldn't want to tell the Dowie ghosts that. I don't see that going well for you. Anyway, with that, it looks like the balance of power shifts fully in our favor. The enemies, including the Graveguard, beginning to melt away, and the balance of power is fully ours. I think for the legendary unit, for the Drakenhof Guard, what SFO should have done, rather than making it a slightly more powerful Graveguard with an aura, is maybe remove disintegration from them, so that you have to destroy them down to a single unit, as befits perhaps a sort of heroic set of Graveguard. There we go. The last one will melt away under fire from all of those blasting charges, and Mannfred is defeated one last time. Alright, there we go. A pretty darn fun fight. Lots of action for the miners as well. 23, 30,000, 22, and 40,000 damage. By and large, vastly outdoing the Bugman's Rangers, both via blasting charges and pickaxe to the newly raised skull. Well done. And of course a little bit more damage on the Ironbreakers, but that should hardly be of any surprise. The Black Knights were certainly a threat, and while we played it a little bit dangerously, leaving the bolt throwers unprotected, I guess they were far enough away from the enemy and our own lines that the enemy didn't even try to bother going for them. Very well done. And let's see. Oh, this is one of the not named armies. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I guess we got it fairly late, and on top of that we have unit types that were named in other armies repeated here, at least to some degree. Though admittedly, this is a surprisingly low-tier army, isn't it? It's miners and bugmans, and for whatever reason the game considers bugmans to be tier 2 units, miners to be tier 1, and bolt throwers to be tier 2. But even in late game, this thing is damn strong, especially with the Belgar buff and everybody. Yep, anyway, you're going to take the Obelisk of Judgment. I like so. Alrighty, and then I guess we could level this up, but of course we will be giving it to the Protectors of the Valley, or whatever those guys are called. You're just at the edge of your range to reach the Valley of Locust. No S. And you're gonna take that as well. Auto-resolve. Wait. We can still have you leech. Yes, you can help. Since you're out here to prevent more plaguination, we might as well have you leech a little bit of XP. Alright. And Valley of Locust is now ours, though it won't stay ours for long. There we go. Fallow Fields will venerate the ancestors, and you will proceed, I guess, down here, though Grothbarok should be able to take Shrine of the Mighty Flame, which is, unless I'm mistaken, the last territory belonging to these guys. Meaning Mannfred is done. And we are one step closer, well, I guess next turn, because we have to wait until this army destroys itself, but, well, army, if it can so be called. Yeah, looking pretty good. Whatever, just building stuff. It doesn't really matter. But, yeah, with Mannfred destroyed, only the Court of Libaros will remain for Karak-Zorn's Scorn, and we've started to work on Talzin and Arguelon. Harganath and Nagranath are probably going to be, well, probably going to be tied with the Wood Elves for the last things that we need to do. Also, before I forget, Thorgrim. I would like you to go not beside the Black Pyramid, but just outside it right here. In underway stance, I guess it doesn't really matter. And then I would like you to declare war upon Arkan the Black. Why? Because I want him to try to attack you with all of his armies here. Will he do so? It remains to be seen. He's allied with the Cult of Mordig. I don't even know who those are. Not that, and they refuse to join against us, which, you know, I mean, considering, looking at the map, makes sense. Perhaps not something you want to get into there, Cult of Mordig. I can appreciate that. You, join war against the followers of Nagash. -10, it's alright, Cetra. We'll pay you some money since you're too scared of Arkan the Black. Though he is, for some reason, still fighting the Sentinels of the Black Pyramid. Or just the Sentinels. Not that it matters. Frankly, we could have just immediately taken the Black Pyramid, because it looks like it got damaged by Arkan. Nah, whatever. Big old magical locust in the center of the desert. We don't actually really care about it. And, cool though it may be, it's not really useful to dwarfs. Anyway, alright, Thorgrim's in position, so there's a decent likelihood that he gets attacked at the end turn. We've moved everybody around here. And who remains to be moved? Just the guys in Athaluren, unless I'm mistaken. We'll double check in a second. But since we're around Athaluren... Oh, wait, there was something I wanted to try, and that's you, Reclaimer Stoutpeak. You can head to the Glade of Eternal Moonlight. Alright. So I was kind of interested in what we could do with the snipe on the Bugman's Rangers, and I remain interested in such. So I would like you to get Fire and Fury just for that one flame cannon. We're going to power it up as much as possible because it's, well... it's gonna need it. Dowie Firepower is fine. We have Rune of Immolation. Let's get Master Armor. I don't know how much fire damage we're liable to take here, but, you know, there's a possibility. Hard to hit and destroy the heart. Definitely restock. Once these guys run out of ammunition, it ain't gonna be so good. A Blade Shield and Locked and Loaded. Oh, I should have gone seasoned marksman. It doesn't really matter. And we'll go for break open the casks. Let's level up your guys as well before joining into the fight. Hero for the additional XP. Inherited arms for the glittering scales via revered Thane. We'll then go deadly blade and hard to hit. Foe seeker. You already have a Rune of Grimnir, which is the important one. Blade Shield and Scarred Vet into Indomitable, and might as well max out Scarred Vet. Alrighty, you're still missing an Engineer, but it's not, I think, a big enough deal for us to care at this point. Let's get you Rune Master. And then move all the way through to Forge Fire into Rune of Hearth and Home, Ward Breaker, Rune of Negation, Rune of Breaking, and Strike the Runes. I think we'll actually want to be able to overcast Negation, and in the same light, Wrath and Ruin, Oath and Steel, and a Rune of Speed, which we can already overcast. Armor's not, well, army's not super heavily armored, however, it's relying on doing damage rather than taking damage, and thus I think sharpened weapons will be the more valuable pick. Lastly, the Engineer. Break open casks, flash bomb, deadeye, ballistics calibration, triangulation, requisition. Zipbar 42 pounders. Well, you might have to run in guns, so let's go Sapper, and then we'll definitely go for We Are the Elite. Lovely. And I think that's everything that you need. Alright, you are going to hit Glade of Eternal Moonlight, which... the armies are moving away foolishly, tremendously foolishly. And with just the one army, but I guess it's a test run for this army, so... I guess I'm interested enough in seeing what it can do in a settlement. Can they actually snipe in a settlement, or does the enemy have something that will reveal them? I guess we're about to find out. They don't have unspottable, but they do have stalk and snipe in a fairly long firing distance. Alright, here we go. The time has come to invade Athaluren at last, and we're gonna start it with possibly the meanest army that we have, or at least one of them. Definitely Scap Holdfast and the Slowdown army is just disgusting. But this army, it really does have something going for it. It's 270 range in the Bugman's Rangers with stalk and snipe at that. So the enemy can't see us, and we can fire at them. They can't fire at us unless we allow them to close the distance, and there's absolutely no reason to allow that. So all the range units that the enemy have are completely wasted if they can't fire back. Definitely have to show the Elgi who has the mastery of the arrow and quarrel. Lovely. First unit of Glade Guard is destroyed. We're going to slowly but surely advance here. Well, if it isn't another enemy unit, but way too far from us, and the tankiness of the Treekin is certainly not going to be enough when we have a sniping flame cannon, stalking sniping flame cannon, and a bunch of stalking sniping Bugman's Rangers. And if they should close the distance enough, stalking sniping Rangers with great weapons, which as we've seen with our Axe Storm army, can deliver a devastating amount of damage if the enemy should actually close the distance. Alright, and it's one of those battles where we just slowly but surely advance and systematically clear the enemy out. And then, in retrospect, this is actually probably kind of mean, and I'm not so sure that the enemy will actually be able to do anything whatsoever against our army, especially in a settlement battle. In a field battle, I'm willing to bet they'd try to rush our position, but also in a field battle, I probably would have deployed the army completely differently than, well, obviously in the settlement battle. But anyway, in the meantime, we got more sniping to do. A bunch of more Glade Guard, and I see some Eternal Guard milling around down there, under fire from the stalking sniping cannons and Bugman's Rangers, or flame cannons. Just a bit of a shame that we only have one of those runes of disguise for our cannon. But all good. It's still a Grudge Settler flame cannon, and even one of those is still an absolutely devastating artillery piece. Anyway, the 3 units of Glade Guard and whatnot will melt away under fire, and interestingly, it looks like they're charging towards us in terms of trying to escape. I guess units do... When units rout, they I feel like they should have made the eyes go dark when the forest spirits were brought down. But anyway, and maybe the just general glow that they've got on their skeleton. But anyway, what was I saying? All right, enemy units do route to the closest portion of the escape sort of areas of the map, don't they? The edges of the map. I'm wondering, if we weren't hidden, would the enemy still be able to charge towards us or route towards us in the way that they do? Sometimes the enemy does and sometimes they don't. I'm not sure. Not that it really matters. Anyway, looks like some Eternal Guard tried to move towards us. What they haven't realized perhaps is that we only have our rangers with throwing axes here. Well, they still can't see them because they're hidden and sniping. And the rest of our units have moved over onto the right side as well, because the enemy has a bunch of enemies deployed there. Well, a bunch of units, rather, deployed there. And it looks like the Glade Guard are not even going to attempt to close. Frankly, they wouldn't have succeeded even if they had tried, as that was, I believe, 2 or 3 of the units of Rangers firing at them, while the others weren't even in range yet. Alright, just a little bit more and it looks like the battle is going to be ours rather soon. At this rate, the bounce power is already about 65% in our favor, and with every quarrel launched to the enemy's way, that grows. And considering how annoying the Wood Elves are in general with their piles of stalking range units, it's only fair that we give them a little bit of a taste of their own medicine now. Alrighty, and here comes another unit of Eternal Guard, probably rushing here because they finally spotted the first of our units, a Thane, which moves to capture this particular location. But it looks like they can't even rush them as they get ripped apart by the axes and will break. And break apart. Alright, bounce power at about, still about 65, maybe closing in on 70% in our favor now, just trying to move the flame cannon into position, and I think we can freely speed this up. I think we know what the rest of this battle is going to look like. The enemy has no chance whatsoever. Would you look at that, a Wildwood Rangers unit has, in fact, actually managed to get close enough to some of our throwing axe rangers to spot them. However, they actually have to close the distance with them while taking those throwing axes and the stopping power that they allow. I gotta say though, this yellow and red color scheme looks really great on the Wildwood Rangers. I really like the color scheme, generally speaking. Good for them. Or maybe not so good for them. The color scheme didn't help is what I'm getting at. Anyway, that unit might have been able to close the distance at least somewhat, but I'd wager the rest of the enemy units will probably not be able to. The bounce power at about 80% in our favor now. Our cannon is back in action. And, they are... looks like they've spotted. Your hidden units are revealed. Another unit of Rangers with great weapons. They'll get one volley off most likely before they melt away, or before the Rangers go hidden again. And it looks like they didn't manage to kill any of them. And we'll also take both Axe and Flame and Quarrel for their trouble. Alright, that unit is done. The bounce power is at about 90% in our favor, and I think just a couple more volleys from everybody and the enemy army will shatter and the battle will be ours. There we go. Alright, easy enough. Okay, fine, there's one more unit, and that unit will melt just like every other unit, and there we go. With that, the battle is ours. The enemy lord flees and will get sniped from... Oh, it's disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. Ouch. That was pretty darn brutal. If nothing else, I should probably avoid using the all-stalk and snipe army in siege battles, because there is absolutely nothing the AI could do whatsoever. Not even a tiny bit of damage. 0 losses. Everybody's invisible and outranging the enemy, so it's pretty disgusting. Occupied Glade of Eternal Moonlight, I guess. Not like we really care about the little tree locations, but whatever, I guess. Well, High King's Tribute wouldn't be of any use to us here. Physical resistance when under siege. I think it would be helpful here. Maybe empower the guilds for the additional movement range. I guess if we could get attacked, then purge the Urks might be helpful, but Oh, casualty punishment, yeah, it's only 5%. Yeah, let's just do it, empower the guilds, whatever. Build defenses. When it's not like we're actually looking to keep the place. Anyway, Tursith, there we go. And yeah, you guys really shouldn't have moved to the edge of your territory. They probably wanted to jump out, but alas, you, Woodguard Illic, are going to go out here just in case they attempt to jump. And then you, Woodguard Granite Hand, can move in to reinforce if they attempt to besiege or Reclaimer Stoutbeak. Oh, actually, if they attack, I would prefer that they attack Stout Peak. Well, frankly, these two little armies have no chance. Oh, you're gonna suffer attrition. Oh, I screwed that up. You go here. Yeah, alright. I forgot that we're not immune to Athaluren attrition, I guess. You engineer, you're actually supposed to go into that army. That was, I said, was missing an engineer. We could also start getting all the other wood guards down here, though we should probably enable at least some of them to heal up for a turn. You guys technically we're not at war with. It may change, but for now I guess we can jump over you and go to Kingsglade with a few of the other wood guards. Oh, let's see if they attempt to defend it. And Amador Damon, you can move in there as well. There we go. Do we even have to occupy any of these? I don't remember. Oak of Ages, that's a definite yes. Upkeep reduction, 10%. Oh wow, for Quarrelers, Rangers, Bolt Throwers, and Grudge Throwers. Hey, you can make a lot of, logs with that big ol' Oak of Ages. Not but a big old tree. Base missile damage +2 for all Quarrelers and Rangers. That's actually a fairly significant power-up. And the construction cost -10 for buildings would have been great in the early game, but obviously not really helpful to us in Oh, there's an army out here. I'm really have to find you and kill you. Anyway, Azrael, we moved you down here for a reason, and that reason is to kill things. Go.
Certainly not.
Oh, this should be a little bit harder, because, well, he does have those flame cannons of his, but the Frostrooms are very, vulnerable to just massed missile fire, and they've got 3 full stacks to defend with. Well, perhaps a proper fight for Azrael, then. Especially since he didn't get his, billion undead spawning. We at least he's got a billion wood elves spawning. Now let's give everybody their levels. It's been a little bit. Alright, you guys went for spoils. I don't think you really need hero because his army's maxed out anyway, but we'll see in a sec. I would like you to get relentless if you... Oh. Actually. Well, you still have enough for Blade Shield through Scarred Vet and Woundmaker. And Indomitable, but then you will only have 2 points remaining. I guess 1 point in Resolute and 1 point in Ancestral Grudge there. Just the max we can get for the value of those points. Deadly Blade for you, Hard to Hit for you, Relentless, mostly for the repositioning ability. It's not much speed, but, every little bit of speed counts. Far too late in the game to change that opinion. Anyway, a Runesmith. We definitely want the Rune of oh, actually, no. What we definitely want is, okay, you have Wardbreaker. Probably old-fashioned tinkering. So let's get you Scarred Vet. Rune of Resistance, Rune of Sanctuary, and then old-fashioned tinkering, Rune of Fate, Rune of Spellbreaking. I should probably have Retinue Physician, frankly. What else? And definitely max out Steel and Speed, because they're the most used. I do believe we use Rune of Negation a fair bit as well. We can go for Rune of Breaking. Still want Rune of Grimnir. Let's get Rune of Wrath and Ruin as well. And we have 4 points remaining. Would still enable us to get Rune of Valea should we desire it, and the ability to reposition. So let's get Relentless and Rune of Valea. Looks good to me. And then lastly, the Engineer. Everybody's rank 50 in this army. Now you have the Flame Cannon Mastery, and then no other masteries are required, so you're free to get hand-loaded to buff yourself up. We can get Apprentice, Marksman, and Emergency Stockpiles. I don't see them being used, but you never know. Overseers, Rune of Grimnir, Relentless. We don't really need Resolute or Ancestral Grudge, but there's nothing really else to get in this tree unless you have other artillery pieces, so I guess we're good. You can have increased mobility. And 1 point remaining for not getting Bear Essentials. Bearkvar Handshake is useless to us. I don't know, get get boost income. Whatever. All good. All right. Ezreal, hit Athaluren then. Quick save. Let's see how we handle 1,000,000 of the enemy range units firing away at us and backing up, because that's what they're gonna do. Alrighty, here we go. The battle with the hidden rangers or the stalking rangers was so mean. So this one, we're going to do the opposite of that. We face off against enemies' massively superior range firepower in the form of, I don't know, around 2 full stacks-ish of nothing but range units, and that's going to be pretty darn dangerous. We don't have very long-range army, and we're not going to merely use the flame cannons to kill them all. We will use them to prepare the way, knock down the enemy platforms and barricades, as King Azrael and his Valor Guard, as typical, will charge headlong into battle, and will soon begin taking arrow after arrow after arrow. They have 15% physical resistance and 123, and therefore 75 max missile resistance. Unfortunately, they don't have shields or missile block, which would have probably been really helpful here, but, well, gotta do what you gotta do. Azrael is a hammerer-based army, after all. Anyway, here come the arrows from like a dozen enemy units at once, and we're getting poisoned as well, so slowed down to a mere 24 walking speed. Definitely getting a little bit of a taste of our own medicine, but I did promise to actually fight rather than kill the enemy at a distance. So yeah, instead of our flame cannons dealing with this, let's see if we can survive the onslaught of enemy range. There's also probably no escaping from this, as in if our Valor Guard gets sufficiently damaged. And they've taken about 15 to 20% of their damage so far already. There's probably, and they try to turn and run, the enemy will probably simply gun them down. So all we can do is hope that we can close the distance, trying to speed ourselves up a little bit with that Master Rune, or not speed themselves up, but damage resistance increase with that Rune of Negation. And still, ooh, we're down by about 40%, but have at last managed to close the distance with the first of the enemy. Taking heads from the enemy Wildwood Rangers here, or Glade Guard rather, and Eternal Guard mixed. And a unit of Zotes as well. Mr. Azrael is in here somewhere as well, I believe. He is going to knock out a few Zotes, and we're going to help him out by finally sending in those Frostworms. Not so much to do damage, but to tie up as many of those range units as possible. We do have other units to advance as well, as here come our Stonebeard Breakers, and the Dwarfs are 2 of our other Hammerer units, as we start tying up as many of the enemy as we can. Over on the right flank, we have started to move out our own range units. They are outranged by the enemy very significantly, by about 2 to 1 in terms of their range. But they will work together with the flame cannons to start clearing this portion of the map, or at least I hope so. They're going to get blocked by some great forest eagles. Ooh, good use of that. The enemy also used Shield of Thorns on them as they landed as well, but we did keep 1 unit of Hammerers back, and both Thanes over on this side to protect the artillery and the Drake Gun units. Drake Guns are also taking a lot more damage than the Hammerers do. They don't have nearly the same level of missile resistance and have to approach a long way, all under fire, while doing so. Out here, our first Frostworm has lost about 50% of its HP, and Azrael has nearly defeated the second enemy lord and has killed off the first. And down goes the second Glade Lord. Enemy melee troops are now moving in, and we also even have some Blade Singers in with the Eternal Guard, but in theory, they shouldn't be a match for our Hammerers, buffed as they are, though Blade Singers are a very frightening unit. Alright, but we're gonna make sure that they don't have a good day by summoning some Ancestral Shield Bearers. We're definitely going to need them as we keep trying to advance with everybody as fast as we can, just to try and tie up more units. Second Frostworm has dropped down to 40% of its HP, and similarly, we're going to back it off. The Valor Guard are down to about 50%, and though Azrael himself is fine, there's still, oh my lord, a lot more reinforcements to make it onto the battlefield, and more importantly, unfortunately, a lot more range units. Our Drake guns are unfortunately starting to suffer a fair bit of damage, while the Thanes and the Hammerers try to advance to help out. Gonna take some of those arrows of Kurnus, while other units of Drake guns attempt to advance up the ramp towards the enemy's center, where Azrael is still currently fighting. Looks like this enemy, Waystalker, does not know where to run, as we basically have units on both sides, and kind of weaving around our units. Kind of interesting. Not so sure you're gonna escape that one, though. Alright, there we go, and with that, the Waystalker will get torn to shreds rather quickly. How are we doing out here? Still advancing, though 3 out of 4 of the Frostworms have now been forced to back off with very little HP remaining, and you gotta remember, we still have another basically full stack with high veterancy range units ready to move on in. They do like to focus those big old single entity targets, so the Ice Drake is probably going to have to flee just like the others did shortly, even with the 88 missile resistance that it's got. It's just not enough, with the maximum being at 75% without any missile block. And the enemy has a decent amount of melee units that have moved in as well. Dryads being joined by Eternal Guard and Wildwood Rangers. The armor piercing of theirs probably going to be a decent threat to our Hammers as well, while the Dryads absorb hits. Alright, and the reinforcements are now still getting onto the battlefield. We still have 3 more Glade Guard, a Tree Man, and a couple of Treekin, and the bounce power remains in the enemy's favor, which perhaps isn't surprising, as our Hammers are now starting to really feel the hurt here. The Valor Guard are down to about 40% of their HP. Even the Ancestral Shield Bearers are suffering. Looks like they're taking some shots at the Thunderers with Drake guns as well. Over on this side, the Flame Cannons are working together with the 2 Thanes and the 1 unit of Hammerers to try to chase down and close the distance with as many range units as possible. Man. Still a very fun battle as we continue to try to approach the enemy. We gotta enjoy these while we can, because, I mean, we're probably not going to fight every single battle in Athaluren, because a lot of them are going to feel very, very samey, especially with the same type of units that the enemy has, but we are going to fight some critical ones with a few various different armies. And especially this one against 3 stacks, I don't remember, but I don't think we could have auto-resolved anyway. Which is for good reason, because we're taking a ton of damage here. And balance of power still in the enemy's favor. 7 minutes of fighting in, and at last the Hammerers break down the barricade and will rush through it to tie up even more enemy range units. Good lord, that's so many range units. And we're kind of in a blob right now. Our Hammerers are down to 10% HP, 20% HP, 30% HP, depending on the specific unit. Our Drake guns are moving into support, and at the very least, the enemy is focusing down the Hammerers, being the bigger, more, I guess, threatening targets in the sense of being more valuable units, rather than going after the more fragile Drake guns. But it is giving the Drake guns the opportunity to fire back on at least some of the units, bringing down those Sisters of the Thorn, and soon to be bringing down this unit of high veterancy Glade Guard as well. Out of curiosity, we've got 190 range on them. Alright. Alright, and looks like one of our Flame Cannons, 2 of our Flame Cannons now have made their way up the ramp at last. And speaking of making their way up the ramp, over on the right flank, our 2 Thanes, our 2 Thanes have found the enemy Tree Man, which has made its way onto the battlefield. Rank max veterancy, or rank 8 it can see, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to try to bring the big boy down. 2 things should be more than enough to take it down. The Tree Man has a solid stats at 57 and 63 attack and defense, but with 137 melee defense, the Thanes are not going to go down easy. Plus, they buff each other up by popping Patriarch on each other, increasing their own melee attacks and their defenses using Ward Save. The Tree Man quickly loses about 3/4 of its HP, and a few more axe blows will fell the big old tree. Will fell the big old tree. Will fell the big old tree. Come on, guys. There we go. All right. Alright. We shall never see its like again. Well, actually, we will, but soon. Anyway, still Glade Guard to chase, still advancing with the rest of our army. The bounty power at last shifts in our favor, and our heavily damaged Ice Drake and other Frostworms have made it back to the battlefield. We no longer have the mass of troops from our hammerers and such, and we need desperately to send everybody into combat. Every Frost Drake, which can move so fast, and just to tie up as many of those range units as possible so that they're no longer firing. All of our hammerers are down to like 10% of their HP, and they've been with us for a long time. They're all named, and I really don't want to lose them at this point. But fortunately, it looks like we do have enough units damaged super heavily, though they may be, to tie up most of the enemy. Even the Thanes are serving the same purpose. Though there is still the annoying aspect of the fact that the Glade Guard can all fire whilst moving, so while running from one unit, they can fire forward into another unit. And good job to them. Which is a little bit annoying considering they're getting attacked, like actively attacked, but they're still moving instead of getting tied up. It's the big advantage of the AI, which can give a million orders to every single one of its units rather than, and you know, do things like this rather than have the unit get engaged. And repeat the same thing all over the map. However, all of that aside, it looks like it is not enough, and it looks like Azrael manages to take this particular territory by force, and despite fighting everybody and running the gauntlet of so darn many arrows. Ooh, there we go. Close fight. Definitely a close fight and a very dangerous one. We came close to losing a bunch of our elite units, but still. Azrael wanted a great fight and fight overwhelming odds, which he should have gotten from the ceiling of the Silver Pinnacle's tombs, so he got it here. Ooh, there we go. That certainly took a lot of effort. The Valor Guard ate so dang many arrows. I'm actually curious. I do wonder how many arrows they did eat. I wish that we could see a damage absorbed stat, because I mean, there's basically more than 2 full stacks full of nothing but range units attacking those guys at the same time. Still, very good work for them. They were there primarily to absorb the range damage. We did fairly solid damage out of the flame cannons, though admittedly, we probably could have had the battle be a lot easier by burning down, you know, all of the enemies with the flame cannons instead of going in, but I think that was the much more fun way to do it. Heroic victory. Occupy. Alright, and Azrael certainly got a proper fight for himself. And well, I guess you can collect the income, doesn't really matter. What did we do? Empower the guilds here? I think I decided on empower the guilds. Alright, though frankly, casualty or punishment might actually be the better pick here if we are going to keep fighting. Also, since Azrael is damaged, we can move down Woodguard Cragbrow and camp stance, though I suppose if enemies attack you together, they might be able to besiege the crag halls of Findal and then only attack one of you. It's a distinct possibility, but one we're just going to have to risk. Woodguard Cragbrow, just in case the enemy does attempt such a thing, we are going to level you up. Let's go for Warmatic. We will venerate, I guess, Grugny just for the... I mean, everything here feels like a Morgrim type of deal. A little bit of extra ammunition. It's just that 4 melee defense is just better. On the other hand, nobody here is looking to trask or just get the ammunition. Anyway, let's get the Master Rune of Immolation, because we always do. Inspiring Presence, Route to Marcher. We will definitely need Fire and Fury, as that's what this army is built around, and then Tradition and Innovation. And just those 2 things. A very simple Reclaimer army. That's what it's here for. And I don't believe you even need Morgrim's... Oh, actually, you do have flame cannons. Alright, fine. Let's get Morgrim's Favored. We don't need Tactician, because the flame cannons, like the other fire units, are part of Fire and Fury, though. Let's get Master Armorer. There's a decent likelihood that we hit ourselves a lot, and let's get your Rune and Grimnir. And the NG real quick. I guess technically it might have been nice to have a second one. Anyway, Flame Cannon Mastery. Flash Bomb, Deadeye. Ballistics calibration, break open the casks, triangulation and requisition into Zufbar 42 pounders. We should probably get gyrocopter mastery as well, which is reinforced rotors, and we have 1 point remaining, so let's start moving through. We are the elite. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. And oh, you know what? We should give you items. I know that you're just a small little army here, but you never know. If you get attacked by multiple armies, you'll find a battle that's worth fighting, and in that case, I'd like you to actually have your items. Old Guard's tankard. Hand weapon will obviously be the Gatekeeper's hammer, if I can find it in here. Okay, there we go. And then basic armor. What was I doing for armor for you guys? Gatekeeper's helm. The small amount of missile resistance, or we need all the... Oh, good lord, now good luck finding it in here, Ruinous. There it is. Do we have any spare ones? Doesn't I have to make one? I think I have to make one. Alright, fine. Fine, game. If that's the way you want it. Gatekeeper's helm. They really should change the way that this thing works so you can make as many as you want at a time. The fact that you have to make one at a time is kind of silly. Obviously, in the late game, it doesn't really matter. And in the early game, you will never build more than a couple. I will also admit this, but nonetheless, it's the principle of the thing. Potion of healing, hand weapon. I like to give you guys magical damage because you already have suppression, so you can't use the Gatekeeper's hammer, and the magical damage will be from the Red Axe of Karak 8 Peaks. Though the Sword of Anti-Heroes is funnily enough better because it gives you melee damage reflection. Oh lord. There it is. Red Axe of Karak 8 Peaks. And I'm too lazy to give you items, so... Or the ancillaries. You. The helm. And you see, this is why I do the items between the episodes. This is just two guys. We have so many. There's that helm. Alright. You guys are ready. We'll see if, like, a billion elves attack you over the next couple turns. Anyway, I don't think anybody else needed to move, but let's just double check. Joseph of Zorn, you're sitting for 1 turn. Coast Guard, Wood Guard. I mean, technically the Wood Guards can sort of start moving. Dwinbar Ranulfson is besieging, and I do believe the enemy should attack him. Jar Guard, Morn Guard, Ongrim, Wood Guard, Brock Ironpick. You're done here, so you're fine. Oh, I'm gonna rename you to any kind of guard. I'm just gonna try to remember. Joseph Bugman, you're healing for a turn here. Grundadrak, you're fine where you are. Scaff, hold fast. You're now fine where you are and will probably no longer move. Are we ready to end the turn? Oh, did I even do building? Is this a new turn? I guess we're just about to find out in a second. Reclaimer Burdrick. You're up here. We might need another Reclaimer to help out on Albion, so... Yeah, just go this way. Coast Guard obviously does not need to move. Wood Guard, another Reclaimer, but you've already moved. Wood Guard and Follower. I think we're good. Alrighty. Did I do building? I saw at least one place where that building had to be built, but where it isn't here. Vidrioth. Oh. I mean, we don't really care about it, but build defenses, build the Mechas Ungor, and then build the trading depot, I guess. Why not? You know what? Screw it. Don't collect the income here. It's going to bother me. Alrighty, and then that's good. Oh, Shadowlands. What is this? 9 graves. Okay, before we trade it to these guys, and then where's this River of the Flux? Sure. Build before trade while it gets decorrupted. Alright, skip. Damage building. Eh? Repair. Oh, these guys damaged the building. That's tremendously rude. Outpost upgrade and end the turn. Let's see who's gonna attack us. There's a lot of potential. Ah, it looks like Arcan will indeed take the bait and attack Thorgrim himself. And he does have a lot of good stuff, lots of bone giants. I see a couple Necrosphinxes, some Hierotitans, more Sphinxes, more bone giants. Lots of big boys, basically. Big enough to take on Thorgrim? Perhaps. Big enough to outrun Thorgrim? Never. Alrighty, here we go. Luckily, Arkan the Black has brought 4 armies against us and lots of elite units with tons of monsters. I had been perhaps a little disappointed in the fact that we wouldn't be able to take the Black Pyramid, like get a big old final battle for Thorgrim there, because most of their, well, maybe not most, but a lot of their stuff was destroyed by a combination being attacked by the archaeological expedition and by Cetra and by Arkan. But since Arkan has all these armies with all these elites, we'll take him for Thorgrim's final battle instead. The battle will start with a ranged shootout, as we like to do with Thorgrim's army. Leave the melee to the melee troops, our hammerer sort of a circle there, while the ranged units try to obliterate the enemy who shopped you with great bow and the bow giants and pretty much anything that will be able to threaten the gyrocopters and such, and I guess the thundercloud as well. Thorgrim kind of milling around. He wants a few fights before the rest of the battle is joined with our much more slower moving elements. He is fast Thorgrim after all, 60 move speed without buffs, and can bump that up to 70 if he should use flow of battle. And he can, and obviously that's Strider as well. Anyway, looks like another one of the enemy units of Spokal Stalk. Well, I guess the first one was a unit of the not Spokal Stalkers, but who shot you with great bow. But both of them are melting away under range fire, but the enemy probably has plenty more where that came from. In the meantime, Thorgrim barreling through the enemies here. He doesn't really care about the pathetic little Tomb Guard milling around at his feet, or even the Crypt Horrors. He's moving towards those Sphinxes. And is this a bad idea to send Thorgrim at so many elite enemies at the same time? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. He has a few lords to slay, and he doesn't care about Sphinx or Necrosphinx or Tomb Scorpion or anything that attacks him here. Oh, a second Necrosphinx. I mean, Thorgrim has faced off one-on-one against the Toad Dragon before, so I don't imagine he's going to be too scared of a few overgrown house cats. Yeah, there we go, facing off against 3 Sphinxes now, all the while attacking King Hatip, the enemy lord, who is down by about half of his HP, and is trying to escape Thorgrim. None of your Tomb Guard will help you. We have enough mass and speed to barrel right through them and continue working on that Tomb King. I know. He's down to about 20% of his HP now, and is going to try to escape again. Imagine having 2 Necrosphinxes guarding you and like 1,000 Tomb Guard, and being unable to do anything about it, while a guy being carried by shield bearers like this just hunts you down. And there we go, Thorgrim's own shield bearers have been joined by his ancestral shield bearers to block off some of the units as the enemy Necrosphinx/Lord and gets brought down. Arkan, luckily, has made his own personal way onto the battlefield, losing about 60% of his barrier with Thorgrim's first blow, and the rest of his barrier with his second. The ancestral shield bearers are here mostly to block the Tomb Guard, and Arkan's like, no, you know what, never mind, leave Thorgrim for Nagash to deal with, and try to escape on my chariot. In the meantime, the rest of the enemy units, lots and lots of constructs, all of those snakes, and now those Necrosphinxes, which so spectacularly failed to bring down Thorgrim, and join the fray to fight the Hammerer escape. Gotta be careful the bomb dropping there, Thorgrim's Thundercloud, but it is a good position for it, as it is able to fire those cannons and grudge rakers in every direction. I do mean pretty much every direction, as the reinforcements have arrived on the flank, and more are looking to move on in. So our own line here will be surrounded. Arkan has made it here, but Thorgrim has caught up to him fairly quickly, though he has lost about 40% of his HP, which is pretty darn good. Again, Thorgrim, I think, is, I don't know, one of the only lords. I mean, in this campaign, I think he's the only lord, or one of them, definitely. But in general, in all campaigns, one of the only lords, main lords, that I have no way of healing whatsoever. No regeneration, etc., unless we take his legendary items off him. Which we could do if we wanted to, but seems to be okay. Alright, kind of hard to spot what's going on, but if you can't tell, our blob of hammerers is surrounded by a just absolutely gigantic mass of enemies. Not that that's going to help them too much. Arcan will still be hunted by Thorgrim, I'm sure, once he makes his way through those crypt horrors and Tomb Guard towards them. In the meantime, over in the back line, our air units are still engaged in the shootout, fighting Ushabti with Great Bow and Bone Giants by any means necessary, really, with Brimstone Gun, with Trollhammer Torpedo, and with Machine Gun from the Gyro Bombers. And I was thinking we could fly, I mean, the Gyro Bombers are partly in this army to, you know, in this exact situation, to fly around the blob and drop bombs on them, but I decided it might be more fun to allow our units to just fight them. So that's what we're gonna do. No need to bomb them all to shreds. And we are starting to take a fair bit of damage on our hammers. Thorgrim's Grudgebearers down to 50% of their HP. Kneecap Breakers at nearly 50. Sons of Drashgrund at nearly 50 as well. It is a lot of constructs, and we got more coming in. There's that Hyro Titan in the distance. And we made it towards Arcan again, who's down to about 50% of his HP. And of course, the Thorgrim's Thundercloud is still floating overhead and dropping a lot of ordnance upon the enemy. Does look like there's still a fair bit of enemy reinforcements, including elite monsters, to make their way onto the battlefield, but Arcan himself has little hope. He's down to 30% of his HP now, and I don't think anything's keeping Thorgrim from him anymore. At the very least, not enough units with a great mass remain to block him. And foolishly, Arcan attempts to charge back on in. Alright, Thorgrim, stop getting distracted by the Tomb Guard. I know it's a target-rich environment, but you just gotta hit Arcan a few more times, and hey, a little bit of cycle charging from him, eh? Good luck to you. 146 melee defense, and up to 183 melee attack on Thorgrim with that Rune of Speed. It looks like the enemy monstrous units are starting to dwindle, but a lot more range units have made their way onto the battlefield, and Thorgrim's Thundercloud, our Thunder Barge, is now down to by about a quarter of its HP. Arcan once again tries to move away from Thorgrim, only into the pile of hammerers, where he disappears when together with his chariot under the piles of construct corpses. There we go, another Sphinx and a Hyro Titan wade into the fray against our hammerers, but in the midst of a pile of hammerers is probably not a place you want to be, especially considering Gotrek, Felix, and our Thane, Drain and Drainson are in there as well. Can't see them because everybody's kind of the same height here, with the possible exception of Felix, who you should see towering over everybody, but who knows. Not that it matters. Hyro Titan is probably got a little bit of HP left, but not that much. 10%, one more hit from Thorgrim, and down topples the Titan. There we go. Hopefully it didn't actually manage to crush any of those infantry. Anyway, we actually had to move Thorgrim's Thundercloud, activating the Thunder Burner and getting it to hover over all of those range units as they started to really focus it down and bring it down to, what, 20%, 25% of its HP? Lots of heavy damage to it, but that was the enemy's last hurrah, last attempt, and though this is probably the most damage that Thorgrim's army is ever likely to take, even our air units are somewhat damaged. There we go, but we do manage to pull it off. Thorgrim's hurt, everybody's hurt, but that was a heck of a fight. There's little likelihood we'll find another one as tough, so great job to Thorgrim. Ooh, alrighty, there we go. That was definitely a tough fight. The heroic victory perhaps, but tons of damage on a lot of our units, even Thorgrim himself, admittedly, while fighting. What was it, 3 or 4 Sphinxes at the same time, including Necrosphinxes and a Lord, or 2, was damaged. Oh, he did manage to kill the Lord. Later, he managed to kill Arcan, and still managed to get 186 kills and over 100,000 damage. Over the course of the campaign, I've been very impressed with Thorgrim as a Lord, both of his fighting capabilities and the fact that we sped him up to make him so much more useful. And it's pretty impressive. 108 84,000 damage and 843 kills on Thorgrim's Thundercloud. Solid work out of Thagaraki's school and the other gyrocopters. And just generally speaking, Dwarf Force 1 and Special Delivery, 17 and 20,000 damage, and then 20k on the Skyhammer Squadron, not dropping their bombs this time around, though they could have made the battle a lot easier by doing so. We kept it fun, kept them fighting the enemy anti-air, those bone giants and stuff. High King's Justicars at 73,000 damage, massively outdoing all of the other named units, but still the Mountain Breakers, Sons of Drashgrund, Kneecap Breakers, and well, I guess Thorgrim's Grudgebearers are a regiment of renown. All did pretty well as well. Very, very nice fight. It may be that that was Thorgrim's last fight of the campaign. It was a heck of a finale for him, if that is indeed the case. I really doubt we'll get better, is what I'm saying. And besides, this is probably the strongest blob of units anywhere down here that we're liable to find. So, very nice, Thorgrim. Very nice indeed. And just outside the Black Pyramid as well, which, since the Black Pyramid itself didn't offer a nice fight, since the Sentinels' armies were destroyed, Arcan was very nice to oblige. Yeah, Dunbar Ranulfson. Looks like they're going to attack you as well. It's a Tomb King Canada, I guess, and while we are kind of out of time, it's the Axe Storm army, and I just can't say no. So we're going to fight it too. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Thorgrim had a pretty darn fun fight. And once again, those pyramids look absolutely fantastic, half like shrouded in fog or sand, and the diffused light through it all. But anyway, once again, I really love the desert maps. They're all nice and visible. They give you great cinematic battles, and I think this is going to be a great fight. Probably as tough, if not tougher, than Thorgrim's. The issue being that the enemy, if we count the Ushabti with Great Bow, the enemy basically has a half stack full of artillery, and ours is not a long-range army, which means either we sit back and take tons of shots from high damage dealing Ushabti with Great Bow and Screaming Skull catapults, or we have to march forward. And by the looks of it, since the enemy has, outnumbers us so heavily, we might not have a choice and we'll have to march forward. Especially considering this army isn't meant to fight two armies at once, but one army at once. But it is what it is. We're just going to have to adapt and overcome. And get in range as quickly as we can. Just get the enemy to close the distance a little bit more, at least until those Ushabti with Great Bow start firing. In fact, as long as the Bone Giant and the Ushabti are firing at our Lord here, the Guildmaster is going to be able to take a lot more hits, probably, than everybody else. 28 ward save, 53% missile resistance, and 166 armor. Certainly way more tanky than our Rangers. It'll also allow our Rangers to close the distance as we need to start moving. Everybody move out and rush the enemy. We've no choice in the matter. We can't just sit back and throw axes this time around. We got to knock out the enemy range units. So axes fly into the enemy Spokal Stalkers and whatever melee units are in our way. We need to break through the enemy formations and hit the enemy... Legionary Barrage. Hit the enemy Ushabti with Great Bow before they knock out too many of these units. We can already see damage on the Rangers. These guys already dropping to about 50% of their HP. It looks like some of the enemy fast movers, because we've moved away from our artillery pieces, which we would not normally do. We've got enemy horses, Nehekara horsemen, charging them. I'm going to try to slow them down as best we can. And it's the Flock of Juff dropping those bombs upon our units as well. Our Rangers are forced into melee to try to hold back at least some of the enemy chariots. And it looks like so far all of our units have been blocked off, and we are unable as yet to reach the Ushabti with Great Bow, which continue to fire. We've brought down the enemy Screaming Skull catapults at least. right on time before all of our grudge throwers get tied up by the enemy fast movers. Unfortunately, our rat catchers here are down to 20% of their HP. They're fighting a lot more in melee than they would normally be used to, and are getting torn to shreds a lot more than they're used to as well. But that's all good. If they can survive this, they can survive most anything. And Hydro Titan slowly moving its way towards us, but at least one of our Goblin Hewers is free to target it. And another volley should bring the big boy down as well. Though again, it's the Ushabti that are the bigger threats here. Alright, come on. Throw those axes before it launches another spell. And there we go. Nice stagger and topple from the Hydro Titan. No, I like that they have multiple sort of topple and death animations. Alrighty, it looks like with our Ulfar's Raiders holding the enemy in place, Ulfar's Raiders, holding the Tomb Guard in place, we were able to move our Goblin Hewers through them, and then at last reach the first of the enemy Ushabti with Great Bow. I'm going to use this one unit of Goblin Hewers as long as they remain alive, considering they're only at about 25% of their HP, to cut down as many of these Ushabti as we can. They are very fragile, the Ushabti, and the Ulfar's Raiders will be able to obliterate them, or not, the Goblin Hewers will be able to obliterate them rather quickly, as long as they remain alive. There are 3 artillery pieces left, but yeah, look at that HP drop. Get another volley in there. And we'll focus the Bone Giant last because it can absorb a lot of HP. Speaking of absorbing hits, all of our Rangers are down to like 15% of their HP. And the Goblin Hewers aren't in much better shape either. Lots of the enemy constructs tying us up rather than getting obliterated by axes. And a absolutely glorious fight for the Axe Storm army is still balancing power 50-50. The enemy is running out of units, but our units are running out of models. Again, a really wonderful sort of combination with the fact that the Goblin Hewer crews can still act as slayers so that they can hold off the enemy monsters. I really needed it here because our Rangers are in very bad shape. That one's basically destroyed, down to like 10% or 5% of its HP. Though it looks like the enemy has collapsed completely now on the left flank. Our one heroic Goblin Hero has cut down all but one of the enemy Ushabti with Great Bow, and only the Ushabti and the Bone Giant remain. Last of the enemy's Skeleton Archers will fall. Even our Lord is down below half HP after Healing Potion, and only the Bone Giant and the War Sphinx remain. War Sphinx killed 37 of these Rangers with Great Bow. Great job to it. Interesting to see, considering a couple of volleys of axes from somebody would have brought it down before it could do anything else. These Goblin Heroes and Rangers heroically held off so many Chariots and Necroserpents and Ushabti over on this right flank here. We see the abandoned pieces of Goblin Hewer artillery everywhere, and only the one Bone Giant will remain. Nice big old blow from his bow, and one last strike from our heroic Thane will bring the Bone Giant down and give the heroic victory to us. Ooh, very, very close, and a great fight, possibly a final fight, maybe, for the Axe Storm army. They've had a very storied campaign. Ooh, there we go. Definitely a tough fight and a fantastic battle all around. I really enjoyed that. This army was never designed to fight more than one army at the same time, so multiple armies will have a tendency to overwhelm the axes unless we're in a choke point. And more importantly than that, the enemy had a lot of long-range units, and those Ushabti with Great Bow, the Screaming Skull Catapults, the Bone Giant, etc., etc. Too many for us to easily be able to get to them and kill them all, as there were too many enemies to block us off, and making it a pretty darn fun and close fight with everybody taking damage. Thirsty Axes, Rat Catchers, Manual Goblin Hewers, Axe You a Question, and Axe Delivery System are the named units of this particular army. I don't know whether they'll get another good fight, so just in case. All right, there we go. Now, it may have been skipped over due to the end turn, but our wood guards paid off, or at least several of them paid off, as I believe 3 or 4 enemy armies attempted to jump towards our territories and were promptly intercepted and destroyed by the wood guards. Obviously, one single army like this, with the type of units that they have, is not worth a fight, especially with non-themed armies and just these wood guard armies. But yeah, it really worked out having built up so many of them on the borders so that the enemy couldn't capitalize on that. Now, this might be annoying, as that's a lot of armies, and these territories are, well, they are walled up, and they don't have a wood guard there, which we'll have to deal with. Also, I'll mobilize settlement, la 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 la. And oh, Rhoda of the Dawn has been confederated by the Harrison Revivalists. That's quite interesting. Darn. See, now, if I hadn't figured that this would happen, I would have probably given this territory to these guys so I could, you know, link up. Although, then again, I suppose Boris's territory doesn't have much in the way of contiguity. They've got this territory, they got this territory, they got this territory. They're kind of all over the place, just making sure that the chaos wastes are nice and habitable. Well, that's fine, I suppose. I guess we could try to trade these territories for Zenbaijin, but I'm not so sure that I care enough to do so. A bit weird that Rhoda of the Dawn decided to actually accept that confederation at this point, but whatever. Anyway, first of the diplomatic relations with Tomb King. Swell. First of the Wood Elf factions have been destroyed. Mannfred's faction has been destroyed. Minus 20 melee defense. Are you crazy? For only this? This is a terrible item. What are you talking about, game? I know that's a big bonus versus large and gives you a massive amount of attack increase in that, but it's pretty terrible. What the heck? Not worth losing 20 melee defense. And what about this? A cursed armor. This character will be wounded instead of killed in battle. You're permanently revealed plus 200 armor. Oh, we got a Slayer armor, don't we? Oh, that's kind of neat. Put this on a Slayer, massive amount of melee defense, massive amount of armor. The speed loss will just keep said Slayer in line with the other slower moving dwarven units, I guess. Why not? Enemy killed in battle, ambush, foiled, woodguard. Oleg ready for duty, Nemesis crown again. Minor, and there we go. We should probably just take the Black Pyramid now that these guys, well, now that we've defeated, well, however many armies that was of Arcans. Actually, speaking of, you're gonna run away. You little coward. Huh, I wonder, are these guys at war with each other? Oh, they are. I'm pretty sure they won't have, you know what, kill this guy, kill King Sephiroth. Oh, that's gonna hurt Thorgrim's Thundercloud and bring it down to 1 HP, isn't it? Hey, it didn't. Lovely. I wasn't expecting that, but I am pleasantly surprised by it. Then, while we're here, while I don't really care about Black Pyramid of Nagash, since we're here... You are in the court of a king. Declare war. Wait. I want you to join war against Addled Minds, which is minus 30. Oh, never mind. You're too much of a coward for that, Cetra. Embarrassing. Alrighty, declare war. I don't know why I take it personally. Declare war on the Sentinels, since all of our friends are at war with them, and then we'll attack this little army who will... You little coward. It's a bit annoying, but whatever. Just take this then. It's not like they really have defenders. And we shall occupy it. There we go. Don't really care about the Black Pyramid thing itself, but I suppose the spell resistance faction-wide is something. We will... You know what, we'll need to venerate the ancestors here, and we'll need to build a bunch of anti-corruption things, though the campaign will end long before the Vault of Nagash is finished. Might as well have one fortified territory in the area, and a nice place for Thorgrim to end the campaign, guarding this sort of magical locus, so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, and then, you know, issues don't start cropping up all over the world yet again. Anyway, with that, folks, we are out of time once more. Look at our Southern Realmers. We restored them, and they're doing good work. Anyway, speaking of doing good work, with the Drakenhof Conclave is not destroyed. It is now Bellegarde. Now Drakenhof Conclave is destroyed. There we go. With the Drakenhof Conclave destroyed, only the Court of Libaras remains for Carrickzorn's Scorn. We have begun the Forest Elgi, and the Crag Halls of Findal have fallen, and only Harganeth remains for the third and last of the remaining major legendary grudges. Lovely. Well on the way. This time, I think 2 episodes left in the campaign. Probably not 1, as we still have a fair few wood elves to clear out, but otherwise we've reached probably Thorgrim's final battle here, and he's probably not going to find any others, and we'll just need to clean up with the last of these guys. So stay tuned for that and whatever fun battles we can find, and especially against the piles of wood elves here. Likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.